supposed to.
The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokets, and welcome to the weekend. It is Friday, July 26, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Thanks for being here for another edition of the Russ Belville Show live on 420radio.org. You can also catch us on our live audio stream. Just visit 420radio.org and click on Connect to 420 Radio. We got mobile players, we got live chat, we got audio only, we got podcasts, we got tune in. Any way you want to connect to us, it's available there right at the top of 420radio.org. We got a real special show for you today. This has been blasted all over the marijuana media headlines today. The Marijuana Policy Project has unveiled a new video ad called New Beer, and it's going to be appearing on a billboard just outside the Brickyard 400, the NASCAR race taking place this weekend in Indianapolis. I got a few things to say about the ad, good and bad, so stay tuned for that coming up in the Radical Rant at the end of the hour. Also on today's show at 1:30, we got Danny Danko joining us in our Cultivator's Corner. I texted him earlier today. He said he's got a huge announcement for us. I can't wait to find out what the news is from Danny Danko. We'll find out when we talk to him at 1:30. Also on today's show, we get to our daily toker tunes for Rockin' Friday. Herb Thrash will be calling in, his first time calling into the new Rolla J Studios. He'll be in here later tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific for the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. He's going to report on the Northwest String Summit and the latest in metal news and some great rock music to play for you as well. So stay tuned tonight for that. Also on today's show, and behind the headlines, we've been telling you about the case of Lindsay Reinhardt and the Idaho Three, desperately trying to escape the state of Idaho where they're being persecuted for being medical marijuana patients who dare to think they should pass an initiative to make that legal. We'll talk to Lindsay at about 15 after, find out the latest on her goal, trying to make it out to Oregon to get healthy enough and legal enough to get the strength to fight for her home state of Idaho. We'll talk to her pretty soon. Also on today's show, we have got our 420 radio headlines. We've got all sorts of interesting news coming up in today's headlines, including politics in Minnesota, the U.S. prisoner count, a vote in Miami Beach on medical, Manitou Springs on recreational in Colorado, and the cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome being noticed in Detroit. Also in hour 2, we'll take your calls on Toker Talk Radio and talk about a couple more studies that I found in the news, and a stupid prohibition story. All coming up next.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
This is your 420 Radio News for Friday, July 26, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. U.S. prisoner count declines again, but 330,000 still doing time for drugs. From theweedblog.com. For the third year in a row, the number of people in state and federal prisons in the U.S. has declined, the Justice Department's Bureau of Justice Statistics reported on Thursday. At the end of 2012, there were over 1.5 million prisoners in America, down 1.7%, or over 27,000 inmates from the previous year. Breaking down the numbers, that means that somewhere north of 330,000 people were imprisoned for drug crimes in the U.S. at the end of last year. 9 states in numerical order, California, Texas, North Carolina, Colorado, Arkansas, New York, Florida, Virginia, and Maryland, saw decreases of more than 1,000 inmates. But California alone accounted for more than half of the national decline. Its prison population decreased by over 15,000 as its prison crisis-driven public safety realignment policy diverted non-serious, non-sex, non-violent offenders to local jails instead. In the states, 53% of prisoners were doing time for violent offenses, murder, robbery, rape, and assault, while 18% were in for property, 17% for drug offenses, and 11% for public order offenses. But among the nearly 220,000 federal prisoners, a whopping 47% were doing time for drug offenses. In terms of race, blacks accounted for 38% of all prisoners, whites 35%, and Hispanics 21%. More black inmates were sentenced for drug offenses than white or Hispanic inmates. Question on medical marijuana to be on the Miami Beach ballot from local10.com. Pot smokers on Miami Beach will soon have their voices heard in the midst of sometimes heated discussions among commissioners about the Miami Beach Convention Center, historic homes, and proposed developments around town. A resolution unanimously passed to put a straw ballot question in November's special election regarding medical marijuana. On Friday, all commissioners agreed to have an item on the ballot asking voters whether the city should urge the Florida legislature and the federal government to decriminalize and authorize the use of medical marijuana. The resolution is non-binding. No city laws would change no matter how the public votes. Manitou Springs, Colorado Council leaning toward retail marijuana stores, the mayor says, from Gazette.com. Manitou Springs may be the last hope for area residents who want to walk into a store and legally buy pot. Early indications are that City Council may be interested in allowing retail marijuana stores, said Manitou Springs Mayor Mark Snyder. It would make the historic Westside town one of the only municipalities in southern Colorado to have shops that sell marijuana for recreational use. Colorado Springs City Council voted this week to opt out, and El Paso County opted out months ago. Other neighboring cities, including Woodland Park, Green Mountain Falls, Fountain, and Monument, have also opted out of retail marijuana sales. The mayor, Snyder, said, quote, "For me, it goes like this. We want to honor voters of Colorado and El Paso County and specifically Manitou Springs. My belief is we will move forward with some type of licensing," end quote. Voters in Manitou Springs approved Amendment 64 with 67.6% voting yes and 32.6% voting no. Marijuana politics could be heating up soon in Minnesota from Minnesota Public Radio News. A bipartisan group of state lawmakers aims to pass a law next year that would allow doctors to prescribe marijuana to patients with debilitating ailments. Law enforcement groups oppose making marijuana legal, but State Representative Carly Mellon, the bill's chief sponsor in the House, said it would bring much needed relief to some patients. There's also a Senate version of the bill. Others, however, including members of the state's Independence Party, say marijuana should be legalized for other purposes. But Heather Azey, political director for Minnesotans for Compassionate Care, said, quote, The governor's most recent position back in December was that he's not going to sign anything that law enforcement is objecting to. So we're working with law enforcement right now, end quote. Mellon said she does not support full legalization. She said the issues are separate and she hopes that they stay that way. Mellon said, quote, the conversation about the full legalization of marijuana really distracts from the message of the importance of medical marijuana, end quote. Doctors say too much marijuana can cause vomiting, cramps, and an urge for a hot shower from the Detroit Free Press. For daily marijuana users seeking relief from nausea, doctors now say that using too much for too long can have the opposite effect in rare cases, triggering abdominal cramping, vicious vomiting, and an overwhelming urge for a hot shower. In cases of cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, doctors theorize that the active ingredient THC overwhelms the body's autonomic nervous system. This has been your 420 Radio News for Friday, July 26, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and visit with Lindsay Reinhardt from the Idaho 3, the chief petitioner for medical marijuana in the state of Idaho, and her goal of moving to Oregon to get healthy enough to fight for her home state. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.
Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, home of the famous lighter leash. Herb Age Designs, get your Herb Age t-shirts and hoodies and show your pride. Herb Age Designs, we've got frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs. We've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. We'll see you at this year's Hemp Fest. Crank it up.
On an all-new intervention.
Mark, welcome home. Please, come, join us.
Mark hasn't smoked weed in about 10 days, and I'm worried about him. I can't watch him destroy himself.
I'm fine, okay? This is none of your business.
Shh. Come, Mark. We're only here because we care.
I'm in control. That's what they don't get, is that I can start smoking weed anytime that I want to. I just don't feel like it right now.
At first he was, just skipping a day here and there. But then it got more and more consistent, and then he just wasn't smoking any weed at all.
Mark, we haven't smoked a joint together in like 3 weeks, man. I don't know who you are anymore. Your short-term memory is incredible.
I just can't sit back and watch someone destroy their own lives with horrible decisions.
See you guys. Stupid, I'm getting out of here.
Hey.
Don't touch me!
It hurts me a lot, What do you do for someone that you care about that is ruining their own life? What do you do?
He's not showing any signs of starting.
Intervention on A&E.
Jive, marry, grifo, grass, hay. Technically, it's cannabis sativa, the common name, marijuana. She has found a crutch to see her through her difficulties instead of facing up to them and coping with them. And in time, she may be ready to try something different, something better.
Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Welcome back, everyone. Time for us to go behind the headlines, 14 after, and we are joined by telephone with our friend Lindsay Reinhardt. How you doing, Lindsay?
I have been better. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Last we had spoken with you, we were putting together a GoFundMe campaign to try to raise some money to get you and your family out of the red state of Idaho, away from where they take your kids away for being an MS patient, and into Oregon. Can you give us an update on your latest situation?
Yeah, we are fighting on our second appeal. We have a change.org petition up right now to get signatures going to the director, the administrator of children and community services. I put 1,000 signature goal on that. After the first 112 emails that got sent to him, he wrote our lawyer a letter and told us that was not the proper channel. So we decided that they didn't do anything proper, and that I was going to keep getting signatures and turn them in with our appeal.
So this is an appeal on what is the situation that you're appealing?
We are appealing our names being listed as medium to higher risk for children to be around due to paraphernalia with being in my house. They say that we neglected our children, so they want to put us on a registry solely due to the presence of the paraphernalia. So we're arguing that paraphernalia, especially in my bedroom away from the kids as my medicine, is not neglect, and to please take our names off of the list because we're not neglectful people.
And is this list something that is public knowledge, available for employers and landlords to search?
Kind of. It comes up on a federal background check. So if somebody runs a federal background check, it's available for 10 years.
Wow.
And that's just not acceptable to us. We didn't do anything wrong to deserve this. This was kind of like their temper tantrum in our eyes. Well, you know, we've got to do something to you.
Right. And
that's kind of what it seems like to us.
Okay, so you're on appeal with this situation. You've got a change.org petition that you've put together. So we'll work on that thing. We're also working on trying to get you out of the state of Idaho so that your family can be safe and you can fight for the Idaho Medical Choice Act. How is the fundraising going, and what else do we need to tell people?
The fundraising was going good at first, and then it slowed down for a little bit, and today it picked up a lot. I spent a lot of time promoting the GoFundMe link last night, and people's generosity has been awesome today. We're at 35% of our goal today. Excellent. And so I went ahead and lowered the goal from 5,500 because we're moving to a more cost-effective area now. But we moved it down to 4,000, so I'm hoping by the end of the day maybe we can have it to 50% or more.
Excellent. And where is this more cost-effective area you found?
In Medford, Oregon. My husband Josh got offered a really good job by another Canna family member, and it looks like I might even have part-time work in a clinic if I'm lucky. Wow. So, yeah, it looks like a great opportunity for both of us. Plus, I get medicine. As soon as I get there, I'll get my card. So.
Sure. And for folks that don't know Oregon geography, Medford is south, the very far south Oregon, almost near the California border, and it's the location of where the Southern Oregon Normal, the Southern Oregon 4, got busted for running a safe access point down there in Medford with the Southern Oregon Normal location. So it'll be like the Southern Oregon 4 get to meet the Idaho 3.
Yeah, I guess that sounds like it. I didn't realize that, but yeah, that sounds like a plan to me.
All right, so to get you some more fundraising here, you're in our chat room, right? So go ahead and post the links to your fundraising site and to your change.org site, and people go ahead and hit those up. For those of you listening on the podcast, Lindsay, if you'll email me those links, I'll put it up in a post up on Facebook. We'll share it, get it out on all the networks that we can. We want to help you in every way we can and bring yet another Under Green Railroad Red State refugee to Oregon.
Yeah, that's funny. We were actually, I set up a Facebook group, and it's called Idaho Refugees, and we were calling it the Under Green Railroad. That's pretty cool that you called it that, because we want to get us out, and then, we're trying to get people out of Idaho right now that need medical care right now, and then just pay it forward. So whoever is getting out first, we're trying to help the next person along and just pay forward all of the kindness that's been given to for the people before.
Yeah.
And so it actually will be kind of an underground railroad.
Yeah, and let's put up a count of how many people leave, and let's make estimates about how much tax money, how much economy, how much productivity they're taking out of the state with them. Maybe make a point to these legislators in their back pocket, in their wallet, in the bottom line, to let them know that not a whole lot of people are coming to Idaho because marijuana is illegal, but they're leaving it because of that. Absolutely. Hey, Lindsay, that's about all the time we got. That sound means it's 420 in Idaho. You want to celebrate?
I wish I could.
I wish you could. We'll celebrate for you, and thanks for calling in. Wish the best of luck to you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Have you considered medical marijuana? Double-blind, peer-reviewed studies have found cannabinoid therapies to be successful in treating the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, brain cancer, chronic pain, diabetes mellitus, dystonia, fibromyalgia, GI disorders, hepatitis C, HIV/AIDS, hypertension, incontinence, MRSA, multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, pruritus, rheumatoid arthritis, sleep apnea, and Tourette's syndrome, as well as anecdotal evidence in suggesting relief from anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress, plus reduction in the need for narcotic painkillers. Side effects from medical marijuana can include euphoria, relaxation, anxiety, panic reaction, paranoia, tachycardia, dry eyes, dry mouth, concentration and reaction time impairments, appetite increase, and in some U.S. states, arrest and incarceration. But medical marijuana is non-toxic and cannot cause overdose. Medical marijuana. It's not for everyone, but ask your doctor.
I don't know anything about government. Luckily, Terry Joyce does, and she tells me what to think, say, and do. Terry Joyce was a carnival freak for years. I'm not wearing any pants, and Terry Joyce is going to fight for my right to get them back. That's why I'm asking you to watch the Hollywood Hempress Hour with Terry Joyce. Trust me, I medicate.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Rockin' Friday, featuring rock, metal, and the hard edge of alternative country. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
Oh, I've been waiting for this Friday for a long, long time. The first Rockin' Friday here at the new Rolla J Studios, just 8 blocks away from my man Herb Thrasher at Rolla Tide Studios. Herb, what's happening?
Dude, I guess I gotta go out shopping for a bicycle, man. I mean, with you 8 streets up, I can just hop on the bike and head on up to the studio.
I know, it's gonna be a very, very fun summer with us. I know there's gonna be a lot of cookouts, and come this fall, oh my God, college football on the 73-inch TV, dude.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. I mean, we're just going to have some major football going on, and with you, Boise, and me, Alabama, watching college, and then we got NFL going on. You don't have to go to your Packers anymore. You can hang out. So I'm looking forward to all kinds of good times this fall. And don't forget, you guys listening out there, that we will have a fantasy football league. So you guys pay attention to 420radio.org, and we'll start having information up on that soon.
Yeah, and don't forget we got Left Wing Larry. He's an Ohio State Buckeyes fan, so we're covering. And then,
I did not know that.
Yeah, and then we got Ganja John with the Ducks, so we got all 4 time zones covered, I think.
Oh, this is outstanding. It's going to be a great year. Really looking forward to winning another championship.
Yeah, and folks, if you want to come out and visit and experience what it's like here at the Buck and Bronco House, Rolla J Studios, see the show live, hang out in Portland, Oregon, you can rent a week right here at the studios, $100 a week. We got a spare guest room. We'll put you up in the guest room. It's in walking distance. You don't even need a car. Walking distance to everywhere you'd want to go. Easy ride from the airport to get here. $100 a week, folks, right here in the beautiful state of Potland. All right, let's get to, speaking of the beautiful state of Potland, you were gone last weekend. You were out at Horning's Hideout for one of the best Portland festivals there is. Tell us a little bit about that and how that affects our Herb Thrasher Rockin' Friday song.
Man, it really is. It's a 4-day festival turned in from a 3-day festival because it's just growing. It's a growing festival, and it's basically a bluegrass festival. But as you guys know, man, I'm a complete heavy metalhead, and as I preach to you guys all the time about how bluegrass and metal are cousins and brothers, man, I really am seeing it more and more each year as I go, and I'm going to be able to prove it to you guys here pretty soon. As you guys maybe follow my Facebook page today, I posted a picture of Danny Barnes wearing a sleep shirt. And so this music is definitely growing. It's definitely thriving. And the big thing about the bluegrass music is it's now opening up and other genres are now working its way in there. So had a great time at that festival. And I just wanted to carry it on for one more week. And so we found a tune back from the 2008 Democratic Convention, and I think you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't get into the actual stadium where they played, but I could hear them playing. My credentials would only let me get out to like the press areas, but I could hear them playing.
Well, I still remember, though, the time when you were, went to the convention and stuff, and I remember it was a big deal for you and that good stuff, so I just remembered. But it was a great festival, and we'll definitely talk more about tonight on Herb Thrasher Flower Hour, and I got some great footage, some great pictures. I haven't had time to put that together yet. On the Saturday of that festival, I ended up leaving, coming back to Portland, going to 6 Feet Under and Cannabis Corpse, and then going back out to the festival. So got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of new music out we can talk about. Metal Church from Seattle's now signed to a record label. They're going to be coming. So just all kinds of stuff. And you guys turn it up, keep rocking. Looking forward to getting into the brand new Rolla J Studios and rocking out with you guys. And so turn it up. Join us tonight at 8 p.m. And meantime, kick back and enjoy some Yonder Mountain String Band while we wait on Danny Danko from High Times. Big announcement.
All right. Thank you, Herb Thrasher. This is Yonder Mountain String Band from the Democratic National Convention 2008, Denver, Colorado, with 40 Miles from Denver.
It's a cold, cold moon out tonight, and it's a cold, cold punch on your night. Could I call myself a man if I left by the morning line? And I'd be 40 miles from Denver when you woke up all alone. I'd be 40 miles from Denver and 3 days from my home. In that cool mountain air on an Appalachian trail. Whoa, life is better there. Than try to carry on. And I'd be 40 miles from Denver, headed eastbound on the track. I'd be 40 miles from Denver, just trying to get back to that cool mountain air on an Appalachian trail. Oh, life is better there. by the 40 line. And I'd be 40 miles from Denver when you woke up all alone. I'd be 40 miles from Denver and 3 days from my home. In that cool mountain air on an Appalachian trail. Oh, life is better there. Oh, life is better there. Oh, life is better there. Oh, life is better there.
Good afternoon, everybody. What a beautiful day to be alive, isn't it? We're standing here on the doorstep of history. Let's grab that knob, let's turn it, and let's throw that sucker open. We're from Nederland, Colorado. We're really honored to be here today. It's an understatement to say we're honored. My mom's at home crying right now. Mr. David Johnston to play us Don't You Lean on Me.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Free weed, free weed. Danny Danko on the normal radio. Free weed, free weed. Oi, oi. Danny Danko come to show you how it grows. You're now tuned into the Free Weed by Danny Danko on normal radio, presented by High Times Magazine. See me, I say, boom, bang.
Yes, it's time for us to visit our Cultivator's Corner with Danny Danko of the Free Weed blog from High Times Magazine. How you doing, Danny?
I'm great. Thanks, Gus.
Hey, thank you for being on the show. It's nice seeing you at the last event, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you at the next one. I don't know if that was your huge announcement, but well, let's tell it. I've already teased everyone that you had a huge announcement. I should just throw it right to you and let you get to it.
Yeah. We just basically signed the ink and paperwork. The ink is dry on contracts for September 7th in Seattle at our Cannabis Cup. The event that night is Slightly Stupid at WAMU Theater with Redman as the opening act. So it's Redman and Slightly Stupid at the WAMU Theater in Seattle, September 7th. And if people purchase the 2-day passes, the VIP tickets, they get access to that show. It's one of the biggest we've ever done ourselves because it's like a 7,200 capacity theater. So we're really excited. We had Slightly Stupid at Red Rocks in Denver, but that was actually not a High Times show. So this is going to be an all High Times show with Slightly Stupid and Redman, and we're looking forward to that. We're really happy about that, and we've got Rick Steves attending the event as well. The only unfortunate thing is it's the same weekend as Portland Hempstock.
Yeah, there was some concern about that down here in Portland with folks trying to figure out where they were going.
Yeah, I mean that was done with no intent or anything. I don't think the people who scheduled it even knew that it was that same weekend. But I mean it's unfortunate that it happens to be that same weekend because I'm a big fan of Portland Hempstock and the people who put that on, and the whole event is amazing. So I'm not trying to, split people up of where they want to go. We have the Cup up in Seattle, and we'll be there pretty strong for Seattle Hemp Fest as well.
That's right. We got Seattle Hemp Fest coming up on August 14th, 15th, 16th, 3-day event. I'll be there at Dab Central, booth 517. I know High Times will be there. Your guys aren't you guys around like the 420s somewhere in the front of the main stage?
we're somewhere towards the main stage with National Normal and Washington Normal, and basically there's a whole little cluster around there. But I think your area is going to be the place to be for sure, Dab Central.
Yeah, we'll see. They say there's no torches or open flames allowed in the park, so I guess people are going to have to bring vape pens and electric nails.
Yeah, well, electric nails are like, I think, the savior of the whole dab scene in a certain way, because once they develop more, technology for the email, I think it's going to take a lot of that kind of like cracky sort of thing that people view blowtorches with this sort of disdain, because it's like we joke around and call it tree basing, but the truth is that people are turned off a lot of times by the sight of a glowing hot nail and a blowtorch and all that. And I think if you can have something that just plugs in and heats up to the proper temperature, some type of a ceramic heating element. And I've seen them already. I mean, they're making their way out there into the world, and I think that goes a step towards sort of legitimizing what we're doing with the concentrates.
Now, I think I've got the dates wrong on the Cannabis Cup on my graphic. So is it the 7th and 8th, correct?
The 7th and 8th of September is the Cannabis Cup in Seattle. And Hempfest, I think, is the 14th, 15th, and 16th, or 15th, 16th, and 17th of August.
Yeah, so you guys will be flying all the way across the country, like 2 times in 3 weeks about.
Yeah, and there's some cool events around Seattle Hempfest as well. I know there's like a mass can thing that Pete Saunders is putting together, like a VIP party one of those nights, and I'm excited about that. And some interesting musical acts too. Everlast, I'm pretty interested to see Everlast perform at that. That's going to be pretty cool. So yeah.
All right. Well, Seattle Hempfest and then the Seattle Cannabis Cup, open to the public. It's legal in Seattle. How is judging work? Can people become judges for the Seattle Cup?
Well, they can judge things like best booth and best product and things like that, but we don't have access to enough, cannabis and concentrates for every single attendee to be a judge of that. We usually pick a panel of, expert judges. We have, hopefully we're going to get like Jorge Cervantes. I know, Rick Steves is interested from, NPR's travel show with Rick Steves. I know Redman's going to participate in that, but people like Mel Frank and, cannabis, celebs and people who know their stuff without being, affiliated with any of the entrants or anybody like that.
Excellent. All right. And so there'll be categories, indicas, hybrids, sativas. How do the categories break down for this cup?
Yeah, we have medical hybrids, medical indica, medical sativa, but we also are doing, as we did in Denver, U.S. Cup flowers and U.S. Cup concentrates. And then there's also medical concentrates and medical solventless concentrates, things like bubble hash and dry fish. So that's the categories. But like in Denver, we are doing a U.S. Cup for flowers and a U.S. Cup for concentrates. And that should be really exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for information, if people want to get their tickets, early bird, is there early bird pricing, and what's the website?
Yeah, it's medcancup.com, medcancup.com.
Even though this isn't
we're about to put it up on hightimes.com as well. I'm sure there'll be links for that, but all the information about, I guess it is up now. So people can go to hightimes.com and find out the info. I think we just basically literally 5 seconds ago posted live that Slightly Stupid and Redman are going to be performing at the WAMU Theater that Saturday night, the 7th. So, and that's part of your ticket if you buy the 2-day pass, which I think is well worth it. I think it's something like $65 right now. Not 100% sure, but that gets you the expo for 2 days, the whole cup, the award show, and the concert at WAMU.
Now this would be
how much is that? Craig, is that $65? The 2-day pass? I think there might still be early bird passes available. I'm not even sure what the prices are, but I actually also, there's a Danko code, promo code if you put in DANKO when you check out. But I don't even know yet what you get for that. I think it's probably like, 5% off or $5 or $10 off or something. But I'll find out and I'll put it out in a tweet and a Facebook message and stuff.
Yeah. Make sure you all are following Danny Danko out there on Twitter, at Danny Danko. And this will mark the second U.S. Cannabis Cup. The first one is in Denver for 420. Second in a row where Slightly Stupid has been a part of the musical performance. How did that work down in Red Rocks? A lot of turnout, I imagine.
It was amazing. First of all, that venue is just spectacular. It was my first time seeing a concert there. I had been there during the day, but it was just fantastic. The weather was a little rugged, but anybody who was there had the time of their lives, and we had a really nice time with those guys. They love herb. They're so pro-cannabis. They support NORML. They support our cause, and they're really cool guys, very down-to-earth and genuine. They love their fans. They love smoking. So we're going to try to get a few of them to participate in the judging process as well. And my old buddy plays trumpet for them too. We've had him on our show, and those guys are just great. We love having them, and Redman is the same way. I mean, having the two of them perform is really a wonderful glimpse into stoner mind, because you've got your hip hop, you've got your reggae and groove stuff, and everybody's just combined and really interested in just having a good time and a nice, fun performances. I think it's going to be amazing. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
and Redman loves to judge and participate in that aspect of the cup as well. So it's nice to have performers that really, are part of the culture.
Yeah, and we'll be bringing you live coverage too here on 420 Radio. We'll be at the Seattle Cup, and we'll have Herb Thrasher and Brian the Red covering Portland Hempstock at the same time. So if you're at one and you're missing the other, just tune into 420 Radio. We'll give you reports from both. And speaking of our 420 Radio replays, of course, Free Weed with Danny Danko, the High Times podcast, is available on replay here on 420 Radio. You can also get the podcast for yourself by going to hightimes.com/freeweed. And Danny, one other thing on these High Times Cups, you guys usually put together some excellent expert panels. I know the last few cups have had panels on dabbing and social media. Any idea what's going to be scheduled for our panels this coming cup in Seattle?
Yeah, well, there's all kinds of interesting stuff. We mixed it up a little bit. I'm going to be doing 2 different panels on Saturday and Sunday, one specifically on indoor and one specifically on outdoor cultivation. So I've got, DJ Short, and hopefully we'll get Kyle Kishman and a few other people for the indoor panel. And I've also got some people like Noel Manners and a couple of the outdoor experts from the region to talk about outdoor. We've got a legalization panel that's going to have Vivian McPeak and Allison Holcomb, Pete Holmes, who's the city attorney for Seattle, and Rick Steves, who was, instrumental in passing I-502. So that should be interesting. There's, I'm not sure, I think there's the social media panel, but it's in particular about like privacy and the internet and that sort of thing, and what, what it means to put something out there into the digital world, along with, your support of cannabis. And there's going to be, what are the other panels? I'm not sure. There's probably some information online pretty soon. Like, we'll put a schedule up of all the panels, but, there's edibles panel. For the first time, I think we're going to have topicals panel. To talk about cannabis topicals, things that people can spread on their skin that are very helpful with all kinds of, skin type diseases and problems.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to that, because I know one thing that gets people over the hump when it comes to legalization, especially older folks, is when they learn that there's other ways to use it other than smoking it. Yeah, I mean, edibles, topicals, those sort of things are definitely a field in which we just, we're definitely going to pick up a lot of other converts that, aren't necessarily going to smoke or vaporize. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Danny Danko, senior cultivation editor for High Times Magazine, joins us on the fourth Fridays of every month here for the Cultivator's Corner. Any last words, Danny, for our audience?
Just, keep up the good fight, and I hope to see you guys at Seattle Hemp Fest and at our Seattle Cannabis Cup September 7th and 8th. And other than that, just, keep up the good fight and free the weed.
All right, free the weed. Check out hightimes.com for more information, medcancup.com for the Cannabis Cup information. Follow at Danny Danko on Facebook and like him on Twitter. He loves to be liked. Danny, thanks for joining us again, man.
Thanks for having me, Russ.
All right, when we come back, we got a video from the Marijuana Policy Project, a new billboard going on outside the Brickyard 400, the NASCAR race in Indianapolis. I got a few things to say about that when we come back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Greatest threats to liberty has been the government taking people's liberty for things that people are in favor of. The Pew Research Group shows that 52% of Americans think marijuana should not be illegal. And yet there are people in jail, and your Justice Department is continuing to put people in jail for sale and use on occasion of marijuana. That's something the American public has finally caught up with. It was a cultural lag, and it's been an injustice for 40 years in this country to take people's liberty for something that was similar to alcohol. You have continued what is allowing the Mexican cartels power and the power to make money, ruin Mexico, and hurt our country by having a prohibition in the late 20th and 21st century. We saw it didn't work in this country in the 20s. We remedied it. This is the time to remedy this prohibition. And I would hope you would do.
5 of the last 7 major party candidates to run for president, 3 of the last 7 vice presidential candidates, and the last 3 presidents have all smoked pot. Marijuana, the gateway drug to the White House. This is the Russ Belville Show.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant.
All right, if you've been watching the cannabis media today, you know about the billboard that's been put out by the Marijuana Policy Project, a video billboard that is to appear outside of NASCAR's Brickyard 400 race in Indianapolis. Let's show you that video right now, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
If you're an adult who enjoys a good beer, there's a similar product you might want to know about. One without all the calories and serious health problems. Less toxic so it doesn't cause hangovers or overdose deaths, and it's not linked to violence or reckless behavior. Marijuana. Less harmful than alcohol, and time to treat it that way. For more information, visit marijuanaissafer.org.
So that's a new video from Marijuana Policy Project, the Marijuana is Safer ad, and it's entitled New Beer, a new beer. And I just have a few things I want to discuss about this because everything in the ad that they say relating to marijuana is absolutely true. It's got no calories, right? In fact, we've even found that marijuana users tend to have a smaller waist circumference than people that don't smoke marijuana, even though marijuana smokers consume more calories. And we've got a story on that in hour 2 as well about marijuana and diabetes that you should hear about. We also know that marijuana is non-toxic. It doesn't cause any sort of hangover. In fact, quite a good cure for a hangover, come to think of it. And marijuana, of course, is not linked to violence. We don't find that people that smoke marijuana are more likely to be aggressive or edgy or violent in any sort of way. Those things are absolutely true. But take a moment and imagine that you're a NASCAR fan on your way to the Brickyard 400. You're in the middle of Indiana, conservative red state, one of the most pot-eating states there is. You and your friends and just about everybody you know drinks beer. Now, some of you may even drink the harder stuff. And to you, beer isn't just a tasty beverage. It's kind of part of your identity. And you might be a Budweiser guy. You might be a Miller guy. Maybe you like PBR. You're a hipster or something. Maybe you prefer an obscure craft beer. Maybe a Leinenkugel's or a Schaefer. I don't know, whatever. But the beer you drink is kind of part of your lifestyle. It's what you do to relax. It's the way you hang out with friends and socialize. So imagine you're that guy. And now you imagine that you've heard that the pot legalizers from Washington, D.C. put up some video outside the race. And those are the images that you see them portraying you as. You and your friends as beer-bellied rednecks, as women who are just beside themselves in their alcoholism with 5 empty glasses in front of them, as the fist-shaking, beer-holding guy in the wife-beater T-shirt, over the cowering woman, the cowering spouse who's afraid of him. Enjoy the race, you wife-beating obese alcoholics, and make sure to support our issue if you get the chance. And look, I'm not the only one to notice this demonization of alcohol in the service of promotion of marijuana. In covering this story today, USA Today commented that, quote, the video ad isn't just pro-marijuana, its tone sounds anti-alcohol, end quote. Business Insider actually put it in the headline that read, quote, this anti-beer, pro-marijuana ad will run during a NASCAR race. They led with anti-beer. Bleacher Report, the popular site for sports reporting, kind of user-generated sports reporting, predicted, quote, undoubtedly some NASCAR fans will be offended by the ad, end quote. Now, I called MPP's Mason DeVert, and, full disclosure, I've been working in marijuana reform since 2005, about the same time Mason DeVert was coming up. We've known each other for years. We've been at various rallies and events together. I'd like to consider him a friend. So just so you know, the fair disclosure there. But I called him, and Mason's the one who actually put the ad together. And if you know your history in marijuana reform, Mason was part of a group called SAFER, Safer Alternatives for Enjoyable Recreation, a recursive acronym. But SAFER, which promoted the idea that marijuana is safer. And you can't argue that it was an unsuccessful campaign, considering they got Denver first to legalize marijuana and then finally the entire state. Mason put the ad together with a couple of staffers. They used some stock footage and spent about $350. And then to place the ad, they got a nonprofit rate from the place that hosts the billboard, so it only cost them $2,200. So for a little more than $2,500, I mean, in terms of bang for the buck, especially with all the earned media coverage they're going to get for free on this ad, I mean, Mason DeVert has hit a home run. At least he's hit a home run for the marijuana team. The question is whether or not he just hit a home run for pot in a Miller Park or a Coors Field. So when I called Mason today, I asked him whether he was concerned about a backlash from the beer lovers who might be offended by the ad. And he said, quote, no. Just, that was it. No. Very flatly. And then he added, we are just reaching out to people who enjoy alcohol responsibly to think about the facts surrounding marijuana use, end quote. Well, then I replied that portraying beer drinkers as beer-bellied wife beaters doesn't sound like enjoying alcohol responsibly. To which Mason replied, quote, we want them to consider why marijuana must be illegal and why should we punish adults for using something objectively less harmful than alcohol, end quote. And that's, to his credit, Mason has always been on point with that message. Marijuana is safer than alcohol. We shouldn't treat it more like it's more harmful than alcohol. Absolutely on point, and a point that I cannot disagree with. I just question the wisdom of the framing of it. We can promote marijuana being good without having to denigrate alcohol being bad. And that's where I think we've crossed the line with this particular ad. MPP's had a similar public relations skirmish with beer lovers already. And this, from personal experience out here in Portland, Oregon. Prior to the Portland Craft Beer and Wine Festival, MPP placed a billboard up that had a beer, a glass of wine, and a pot leaf. And it said, "Beer, wine, safer." And it was right up in downtown across from a rehab center. There was all sorts of controversy on it, got on the evening news. Now, the lobbyists for the alcohol industry did not like that billboard. They didn't take kindly to the portrayal of their product as something dangerous. And in the State House down in Salem, they were being neutral on a bill that was going through the legislature that would legalize marijuana, not through an initiative, but legislatively pass a law to legalize marijuana. And the alcohol industry, the beer and wine industry, which is very powerful in Oregon, we got a lot of craft breweries, we got a lot of wineries, they were being neutral on that bill until they saw that billboard. And they were threatening, after seeing that billboard, to oppose marijuana legalization, the beer and wine industry to oppose marijuana legalization. And that's until some of the local marijuana lobbyists assured them that no, this wasn't, local activists doing this. This was MPP from Washington, D.C. So now that marijuana legalization has reached majority support in this country, I just don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's prudent to accumulate new enemies to legalization. We got enough enemies with the cops and the rehabs and the churches. Well, some of the churches, some of them are coming around. But we got enough enemies out there. The drug dealers who don't want prohibition to end. Let's not add more enemies to the pile. Demonizing alcohol to promote marijuana, it just threatens to create animosity between people who should be natural allies. People who like to get a buzz on now and then. The benefits of marijuana and its legalization can be promoted without offending the alcohol industry, which, at least when it comes to craft breweries, seems to welcome and celebrate the legalization of marijuana. I mean, we have the Joint Effort Ale from Red Hook, and we've got the Shastafarian Porter, and a lot of, beers out there and beer brewers who are embracing the legalization of marijuana. There are a lot of people in both industries who recognize there can be a synergy between the enjoyment of alcohol and the enjoyment of marijuana, and who recognize that there need to be very important educational messages put out that you get much drunker and less in control if you're using both. These are important points that also need to be made. But to make enemies of an industry that supports most of football, basketball, NASCAR. I mean, you look at the typical NASCAR track, not only is NASCAR sponsored in a couple of different ways by Crown Royal and is it Budweiser, I think that's sponsored? But look on the track. I mean, there's got to be at least 5 or 6 cars out there on the track that are directly sponsored by Budweiser or Miller or Coors. To risk offending those sponsors and those people that keep the engines of sport running in lots of sports, and the advertising revenue to the television industry coming in, it might be a situation where you make a short-term gain with $2,500 in a local Indiana billboard ad, but create a larger national problem with the beer and alcohol industries questioning whether or not they should oppose marijuana legalization any more than some of them already do. I mean, the Partnership for Drug-Free America started with donations from Miller and Coors and Budweiser and such. Let's make sure they understand that adding marijuana to the list, to the menu of legal fun substances does not have to mean the demonization and a hit to the bottom line of the alcohol industry. We'll take your calls on that subject. If you've got any opinions on the billboard ad, we'll be live at 971-533-7111 in Hour 2, our Toker Talk Radio. Thanks for joining us here live from Rolla J Studios in Portland, Oregon. I'm Radical Russ for the Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. Thanks for being here, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you